Hi everyone, thank you all so much for joining us today. It's really great to see people from all over the world. I can see here from the chat box, we've got people from the States, from Canada, from Europe, Jamaica, Latin America, Scandinavia. It's really brilliant. I'm Lucy. I'm the VP of University Partnerships here at Studee. And just briefly, for those of you who haven't heard about Studee before, we find students and help them enroll into universities all over the world. We also help universities' admissions and recruitment teams convert their students through different sources of inquiries, like online events, all the way through to enrolment as well. I'm joined by Jihna. She's our president of our Student Advice Centre here at Studee. Hi, Jihna.
Hi, everyone. This is Jihna, President for University Services and the Student Advice Center. I've previously worked as a head of international programs at a couple of private universities in Ecuador, and I have been in the international higher ed industry for over 20 years now. I'm really excited to share some of our experience with you all today.
Thank you, Jihna. And I'm also joined by Spencer. He is Director of Special Projects at BMI.
Hello everybody, I'm Spencer, and this year I'm celebrating my 30th year in international education. I know, I don't look that old.
Thank you, Spencer. So just before we start, I'll run through the agenda. This webinar will be kind of maximum 45 minutes with questions at the end, including that. Spencer and Jihna will be talking through how to choose the right online recruitment event. So what's important to look for when you choose one, maximizing that live moment when you're on, you're online with that student, and then how to continue to build trust and maintaining that engagement through to enrollment, so you really get a return on investment for going to those recruitment events. We'd love to make this as interactive as possible. So if you'd like to ask a question, please use the Ask a Question button at the bottom of your screen or pop it in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll answer those questions after Jihna and Spencer have spoken. So Jihna and I are going to go off screen now, and I will hand over to Spencer.
Hello everybody. Well, it's fantastic to be speaking to so many people from so many nationalities today. As I said before, my name is Spencer Hawkes and I am the Director of Special Projects for BMI based here in London. So thank you, Lucy, and thank you, Jihna. For those one of the world's largest international student recruitment event organizers, and every year we host around 80 different international student recruitment events in 30 different cities. These include large study abroad exhibitions, agent workshops, high school fairs, and we also organize an event called the Global Scholarship Summit here in London, which is a gathering of the world's largest scholarship providers where they hold pre-arranged meetings with institutions just like yours. The combined value of scholarships in that ballroom is around $2.5 to $3.5 billion. We also have a huge online presence through our BMI digital portfolio, which includes study abroad websites in various languages, student-facing webinars, GDPR-compliant email marketing to the hundreds of thousands of students on our database, and social media campaigns to the massive audiences who follow our platforms. It's actually our online presence which has enabled us to pivot so effectively into online events. Never underestimate the power of a well thought out digital campaign. So BMI have been going for more than 30 years and over 2 million students have visited a BMI event. Of course, everything this year has changed, and so we've had to cancel a huge amount of events around the world, which is a shame because I'm sure you're just like me, and there's nothing more than I would like to do now than to be in the British Airways lounge at Heathrow Airport, sipping something cool before I jump on a plane to a far-flung destination and go to a study abroad fair. Sadly, that isn't going to happen for some time, and like many others, I'm now mainly working from home, so I'm sorry if you can hear my dog or my 3 kids in the background. This is the new normal. So, if we can't jump on a plane to recruit, well, what alternatives are there? Well, the online world is out there. And online recruitment can mean many different things, from making improvements on your institution's websites, running pay-per-click campaigns on Google, running your own webinars like this to promote your institution, running email campaigns and ramping up your presence on social media sites to drive more interest. All of these are great, but they don't create that special thing, that special moment between the prospective student and their institution. Now, us media types, we love using provocative words like moment, but what does that actually mean? For me, that moment is when the student is talking face-to-face with the university. A moment of private, intimate conversation that help create something which is more important now than ever before: trust. And why is trust important? Because of COVID. These days, students and increasingly their parents want to know, what did your institution do at the time of COVID? How did you help protect your international students? I mean, as a parent, I'm about to send you the most precious thing in my life, my child. How are you going to look after them? Now, meeting these students and their parents at a physical study abroad fairs is a great way of building up that trust. But in the absence of fairs, how can we get that essential face-to-face interaction? And I believe that we can do this via virtual recruitment events. But as I've recently found out, not all virtual fairs are equal. To give you some background, I helped launch BMI's first virtual recruitment exhibition a whopping 22 years ago. And in 1998, technology was very different, and the internet didn't have the high levels of communication and connectivity that we enjoy now. When we put that event together, we thought it was really important to try and recreate as much of a physical event as possible. And so we designed these beautiful 3D stands in a big exhibition hall. We had big windows at the back, a virtual exhibitor lounge, a virtual refreshments lounge, whatever that was, and little cartoon characters walking around in front of the stands. Now, this wasn't available online in 1998, and so we printed 10,000 CD-ROMs. Now, some of you may remember what they were, and we posted these 10,000 CD-ROMs out to advisors and agents throughout the world. Looking back, the product really wasn't that great. In essence, it was a glorified book with a few tricks up its sleeve. But what amazed me when I came to develop a product for 2020 was that many platforms out there are still trying to recreate that exhibition feeling, trying to mimic a real fair. But actually, to Generation Z, that's irrelevant. What Generation Z want and what they're used to is that moment of communication between them and their chosen study abroad destination. Now, Gen Z are those lucky people who were born from the mid-90s onwards, not to be confused with Generation Alpha, who were born in the 2010s. Generation Alpha won't be coming to our market until later this decade, so we'll deal with them then. Generation Z are wonderful, if slightly demanding individuals. I know I have 3 of them in this house. They are used to being able to find out any information they want at their fingertips instantly. They don't mind if that information is sometimes automatically delivered, but they are extremely wary of chatbots and hate being swamped by spam emails. They have been raised chatting on their phones and devices. It's where they often feel most comfortable communicating, and it's where we should be engaging with them. But how? Now, at this stage, I was originally thinking about running a 5-minute video which illustrates BMI's latest online recruitment events, BMI Connect Live. But you know what? We are live. we're real and we're having a moment. So you can watch that video in your own time. I'm practicing what I preach, and as we're currently having a moment, a live interaction, albeit a bit one way, I'm going to send you the link to the video after this event, and you can watch that at your leisure. Please excuse the quality of the video. It was produced under lockdown here in my house. It features my 18-year-old daughter, Eva, go Eva, who I'm pleased to say has started university 2 weeks ago and is thriving on campus at the University for the Creative Arts here in the UK. Very lucky to actually be starting her courses, given what's going on out there for a lot of us. So what you'll see in that video is an example of the sort of tech you might want to engage with when choosing a virtual recruitment event. This includes smart Q questions that discreetly usher the best fit students directly to chat with you, a countdown clock that automatically finishes conversations after 7 minutes that really gets the student to focus on the information they require. And we even have 3 green lights that tell you the signal strength of the phone that they're talking to you from. So no more dropped calls or patchy video quality. And after the day, if anybody would like a live demonstration of BMX Connect Live, then free to book me via my online calendar, and this again will be sent to you after this webinar. So we know our platform has got the best tech out there. However, not all virtual events are equal. So here are a few things that you might want to consider as you consider online recruitment events. Firstly, the audience. Does the organizer have a track record of being able to attract large amounts of students to events? Are they an event organizer? Or maybe they're an agent? Will their event actually be busy enough? Likewise, can they effectively manage the audience? I was talking to a British university recently who participated in an event where he was hoping to recruit from the Middle East. He was hoping to recruit students from the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Saudi, and some other Persian Gulf countries. Unfortunately, the organizer of the event completely lost control of the gatekeeping of the fair, and so consequently the majority of the people who were present at the event were from Tunisia. Now, Tunisia is a beautiful country with lovely, lovely welcoming people. It's a fantastic place to go on holiday, but unfortunately the economy isn't what it is, and so let's just call this an emerging market. The client I spoke to spent a happy 10 hours chatting to people who had very little chance of studying abroad, which leads me to my next point. Timings. Our BMI Connect Live events last for 4 hours, just like our physical events. I spoke to a client recently who participated in a government-organized agent workshop, which lasted 5 days. And the agents were able to book appointments from any time from 2 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, a 20-hour window. My poor client was exhausted at the end of the week because on a few occasions she had to get up at 3 a.m., get ready, have a coffee, and then have a single meeting, one of which didn't even show up. And she said that she worked such unusual hours that by the end of the week she had jet lag despite barely leaving her home. However, don't think that you won't have to work unusual hours when participating in such events. Now is the time to be customer facing. And if that means that you have to get up at 3 a.m. to attend a recruitment fair in Asia, so be it. If you're like me and working from home, at least you won't have to commute to the office in the morning. And let's face it, after so many months of being cooped up, I think we're all ready to get out there and start talking to students and parents, even if it's online. Talking of parents, prepare for them to be more involved in the process. As I mentioned earlier, parents are extremely aware of the potential dangers out there and want to know that their little loved ones will be safe in your hands. So actively engage with parents at any opportunity. And if you're lucky enough to be participating in an event which offers text, audio, and video chat for students, just like BMI Connect Live, don't assume that the best students will want to chat by video. Students might be attending the event at home in their pajamas, and though they might not want to enable their camera. Likewise, some students' written English is far better than their spoken English, and so they might want to text chat only. No problem, they're still great prospects. Now, talking of chatting, I think we've all been to events where we've been on our stand and a friendly student comes up and starts chatting confidently, but not about your courses. Some kids are told by their teachers to go to study abroad fairs to practice their English skills. So prepare a few phrases in advance to politely move people on. With BMI Connect Live, you have a countdown clock which automatically ends conversations after 7 minutes if you want them to. However, we're currently the only company offering that tech. Keep the conversation private. Some platforms out there only allow for group chats on stands. This means that everyone on the stand can see what everyone else is saying. Now, this is ideal because some students will want to discuss sensitive topics such as course fees. So if possible, try for one-to-one chats only. Lastly, and most importantly, follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. It's no use spending thousands of dollars generating valuable leads if all you're going to do is email them afterwards. As an example, I attended a virtual recruitment event 3 months ago, and as the organizer kindly shared my details with all exhibitors, which is completely against GDPR data protection laws, I have subsequently received an astounding 72 emails from various institutions, including one institution from California, who shall remain nameless, who is a particularly prolific spammer. You don't want a list of all the participants attending the fair. You only want good quality leads. As another client in California recently said to me, why do I want to talk to people who don't want to talk to me? So follow up is the single most important element of your sales strategy, and unfortunately, the one where some institutions can be lacking. And I'd now like to hand over to one of the world's leading experts in following up on international student marketing, Jihna Gavilanes, President of Studee. Thank you, folks, and over to Jihna.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias, Spencer, and welcome everyone. Right. So over the last 5 years, our NAFSA-trained study advisors have helped admissions and recruitment teams at higher ed institutions increase the number of international student enrollments year on year. Our team focuses on converting prospective students to enrollments using a personalized outreach service and relationship building skills as well. This really makes the most of all your marketing efforts, like attending these online recruitment events. We have been testing student response times and our cultural communication methods with students, from even saying hello in their particular language as well, and finding the best scalable approach to supporting as many students as possible, all the way up to enrollment. So our university partners remain also competitive because of the customer service approach and the student journey pre-arrival to their university of choice. So although every institution is different, I now like to explain the key touch points with prospective students throughout their journey, from after an online event all the way up to enrollment, so that they have the best pre-arrival experience. So the word here to use would be an ROI. We like our online return on investment. The word to use will be conversion. I know we're all working around the clock to assist our students, and due to the current circumstances, I'm sure we're all getting a lot of inquiries from many different places from all these students. So let's just go around a bit on how can we all best organize our student journey and get those conversions running. So the one thing that we love at Studee is providing students a very personalized service, building relationships with students and guiding them. So let's go hands-on. How can we all assist students throughout their journey to enroll at your institution? Once you've registered for an online event, time is crucial. Let's run through developing the student journey and give these students a great service. Thanks, Lucy, for the slide. So once prospective students attend your online event, response times are crucial. Contact with the students should start within the first 12 to 24 hours at the latest. There's a lot of studies that show that students will develop a sense of belonging when their university of choice shows them that they care for them, that they want them in their institution. So the faster you show a student you care, the better the conversion result you're going to experience. So at Studee, we attempt to contact students within 2 minutes up to a maximum of 24 hours, always minding a sociable call-in hour. And there are two possible outcomes here. Either the student picks up the phone and we screen and start our process, or we're unable to get hold of the student and we start a second, a third, and a fourth attempt. If the student continues to be unresponsive through our phone calls, for instance, we would send out a couple of emails with them to start our following up process. When assisting students in any of the communication channels, let's call these phone, WhatsApp, live chat, email, engaging is important. Provide the student information based on their particular interest, not necessarily sending out them to our websites to find out for this information. We're going to identify the student needs, our entry criteria as an institution, and it is time for us to continue guiding the student through their entire application journey. There are a lot of people might think, and it might even happen in your admissions office, why do we need to provide such a personalized service or a service that goes beyond? So if we put ourselves in the student's shoes and knowing that these times that we're facing are difficult, acknowledging that there is a lot of uncertainty and anxiety when applying it to a university abroad, it is more important than ever to reassure them with the information on what are the documents they need to submit. Do I need a translation or not? Be able to answer these questions, as small as they may be. Can you pass into the next slide, please, Lucy? Thank you. So we're answering then their small questions or reminding them of their deadlines. This would be a win-win for both the students and ourselves, as we do want to ensure that they submit their application on time. A great response time of their application and where is it and where in the timeline it is on our internal process, and being able to hear from you in the meantime will mean a lot for these students, because we want to spare the anxiety that they would experience by not hearing about their admissions decisions shortly, for instance. So let's say it's a positive outcome of their admissions decisions. This will only trigger one single thing. What happens next? What do I need to do next? And this is very common among the students. So a few things that will work here, let's say a frequently asked questions link or a document will work and will be enough for them. Guiding students with their visa applications is the last bit that is really important for us to show them that we're present for them. That little last push will be, again, a win-win for your institution. You get to celebrate with the student when they receive their visas because you have built now a relationship. We love at Studee hearing back from students about their visa outcomes. There is always a celebration, so there's a lot of clapping and cheering in the office, and we know that there's either a student that has received their visa or is ready to travel, or a student that has enrolled. So as Spencer mentioned, this is all about following up. We follow up through the entire process, and it is important at Studee to even say goodbye to these students. We do it either through a WhatsApp message or an email, or we phone them before their traveling time. And once they enroll at the university, you will see firsthand how that particular student is already connected and is in love with your institution. It was all about that personalized service that you provided them, the relationship that you built with them from the very beginning. Can you help me with the last slide, Lucy, please? Great. To wrap up about our managing student journeys and why are we providing this personalized experience, here are my last whys. So first of all, we will avoid comments or emails from students saying, I've not heard back from you. Or when we are speaking to our advisors, they would say, I've not heard back from the university. We are reassuring them with the right information to avoid the anxiety buildup caused by applications or admissions or their enrollment process or even traveling. You are a step ahead of your competitors who might not be providing a personalized service. You're given an I care for you service. Time is crucial, as I said. First is on your first in on your online event pipeline. First contact made within the next 24 hours. So providing a personalized experience and knowing your student's journey will speed their visas, their residence, or the student permit processes. We need to act fast, especially knowing the current circumstances that will delay any student visas. It also reduces the amount of decline offers. You have now built a strong relationship with students. They have you have showed them that you had care for them and you have followed up with them. All of this takes you to what in the end we love. Students have a great sense of belonging because you stand out among other institutions. And that's a wrap for me. I'm really happy to have been able to share with you some bits of our student journey. Please feel free to contact me through LinkedIn or email. I'm really happy to continue chatting to any of you. So over to Lucy now.
Thank you, Jihna. I'm just going to bring us all back onto the screen now, and Spencer as well. Here he comes, there he is. So thank you, Jihna. Thank you for explaining the student journey that we provide for our university partners, so how we come in and support the admissions teams and work alongside them as an extension of their team. That's great. And thank you so much, Spencer, as well, for joining us and explaining BMI's great events. That was brilliant. We've left some time now. We've got 15 minutes for a live Q&A. To ask Jihna and Spencer any questions from what they've said. So we'll give you a couple of a minute or so to do that. You can use the ask a question button or just pop on the right hand side on the chat box any of the questions that you have, or if you want to share any experiences that you've had at any student fairs, or about your student pre-arrival journey that Jihna just mentioned. Let's see if we've got any.
But complicated maths questions. Don't put me on the spot. I'm not very good like that.
Yeah, no putting anyone on the spot.
Put Jihna on the spot.
When is the next in-person fair?
Well, it's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. When is the next in-person fair? We have published a calendar of events that we're going to be running in 2021. I can put a link into the chat box on there because we have got venues booked, we've got hotels booked, and we are going to be running events. So there will be an opportunity to get hold of something which I got. I found my passport yesterday. I haven't used it in 6 months. Blew the dust off it and thought I am going to use this again. So yeah, we do have events taking place next week, but of course, next year. Everything is subject to market conditions. So there's probably some events that are more likely to take place than others. If we look at the South American market, particularly in Brazil, that might be suffering a little bit. But over in the Middle East and Vietnam, then things are opening up a lot more. So we're doing the same as everybody else, hoping for the best.
Thank you. We've got another question as well. I think we'd all like to go on holiday as well, wouldn't we? That would be nice. In your follow-up attempts, this is from Marcia, do you find phone calls, texts, or emails get the best results? What do you think, Jihna?
Marcia Wanyer. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that question. Yes, so it's a little bit of a mix. We find out that if a student is a bit unresponsive from the beginning and they've not been able to pick up the phone, we do send a short email just saying, hey, Marcia, we're looking forward to speaking to you and assist you with your journey to start your application at this university or provide you with any insight. And we were always leaving notes in terms of like, if you wish to speak to one of our advisors, you can contact us here or go through our chat bot as well to get them a little bit of a push to bring them back to us and actually get in the service that for our students is free in this case. But following up even on the phone or email and not just being a spammer and sending information about your institution would definitely work. but it will be taken if it's a more personalized email, like tackling what the student program is that they're looking. For instance, it will mean a lot more than just sending a link to a student to go in and find the information on your website, for example.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Gina. Jade, are fare fees being discounted for online fairs now that venue costs don't need to be passed on? So,
Great question, Jade. And the fact is, yes, it is cheaper to put on online fairs than it is to put on physical fairs, and so the costs are reduced in comparison. But I think what's really important to note is that if something is really, really cheap, there's probably a reason why it's really cheap. So if you're looking around the market and you're looking at something that seems excessively good value, it's probably because they're not spending a lot of money advertising. So as I sit here now, I know that in various regions where we've got events, there is active marketing going on, and I know that it's expensive. So yes, we are promoting the events in the same way that we would promote our in-person events. We're spending money out there to make sure that we have huge crowds of people, but the actual entry costs into online events are considerably less than they would be for in-person events. So yes.
That's great. Winston has a question. He said that he was interested in recruiting mainly online bachelor's and graduate degree students. And that is something Studee is now branching into, as we have seen an increased demand in students wanting to study online courses. So we will email you after this and get you in contact with my colleague, Tom, who can chat to you further about how we recruit for those online programs. Winston also asked, how can you assist the UCC to recruit regional students from the wider Caribbean, as well as international students from the USA or Commonwealth region? So it's really, how do we do that across the time zones, Gina?
Yeah, so as I said in the beginning, we are very mindful of students' sociable calling hours as well as to their culture too. So if it is a bit late for them and their culture, they respect a lot the lateness or the sociable calling hours, then we won't make contact with these students. But we are always hands in to help and assist them directly with their particular needs. If we're not been able to get a hold of them, we're going to definitely leave the student for the next day, minding that we do use a system that technology will allow us and pull out those students who were actually under a sociable calling hour to be able to phone them. But we're going to follow up with them right on the next day from the beginning. And this ties me a lot to a question as well that there is on the question and answers that says, how can institutions track effectively a lead conversion from a virtual fair throughout enrollment? So if students use several touch points across the journey, this is really easy. In the case of Studee at our end, once we're receiving these leads from a particular university that has attended a virtual fair, they're all sourced. They're sourced from the beginning to end. So by the time you reach out the end of your campaign or the end of that recruitment cycle, we're going to be able to see that these sources that you provided through a particular online event or a physical fair that you attended, we're going to be able to differentiate how was the student journey through it. Even if they communicated through our WhatsApp channels or our online chat or even through email or the phone, you're going to see the whole journey of that student from beginning to end, and even the timing as well.
Yeah, because we track it all, don't we, by the source, i.e. the name of the fair, to do that. So that's great. Let's have a look at any other questions that we have. Do you mind sharing that slide on the student journey again, please, the one with response times? Yes, we will do, and we'll send it to you via email after this webinar, if that's okay, don't worry. Do we have any others? Can you talk a bit more about how you use WhatsApp in your student journeys?
Of course, of course. These requests could come directly through our WhatsApp channel on any of our marketing efforts, or they can come if a student has requested via email. I don't want to be called in by phone. Can you text me on WhatsApp? So our team goes in straight into being able to assist the student directly. There is a lot of communication via a WhatsApp channel. You can be providing a service that is there's a little bit of automation, I have to say here. So if a student is asking about a particular university and what are their fees and what are their scholarships, we already have a small automated message for that particular institution to be able to explain to the student, how does that work? but we're continuing to engage with the student throughout their journey. Once they've started their application and they've said they could either send us a message at any particular time, we will let them know how to continue with their process. If at that point they request, can you give me a phone call? I'm having a difficulty completing the application and I need you to guide me through, the advisor will jump in on the phone. It does not mean that it has to go through WhatsApp the entire journey, but we have seen different conversions, and especially with the different generations, it's a lot more easier for students to convert through WhatsApp channel right now once you start supplying the information. This does not mean that if you only have one person behind your WhatsApp channel, it could go mental, of course. So at our advice center, we have all of the advisors having access to the different online channels at our team as well. So this is something that you could take all the way through enrollment and be able to assist the student through that particular channel, or even providing them additional information over email, send your how to apply information to them as well would be really good and handy for them.
That's great. Thank you, Jihna. That was really detailed. Thank you. Do we have any last questions? We have a few more minutes if anyone wants to get any in.
I see a question from Shani Pearson about webinars. If I may answer that.
Yes.
Hey, Shani. Webinars are absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I'm going to say that because I'm talking on one right at the moment. But, you know, it can be a lot more interesting than just me. With webinars, I think the thing to do is to try and make it specific, subject specific if possible. So if you have, if you're targeting an area of one particular course, then get faculty involved, get them talking about it. Because actually what students want is they want to have their interaction, they want to feel what it's actually going to be like to be there. And they don't always want to have somebody from international admissions talking to them. They like to get some of that that detailed information, get some useful information about the subject which they're going to study. And so consequently, getting faculty involved in webinars, making them subject specific, that is one of the things that I would be doing. And you can book these things way in advance so that people have, and you can build up enough time to enroll enough people to actually watch it to make it worthwhile for the faculty as well. So that's one of the things that I would do. You can also take webinars outside. If you've got a really good signal, you can take them actually into the classrooms, move them around the university, just do something that creates a little bit more of a buzz about them. I think a lot of people have been in a lot of webinars recently, and so consequently they're expecting the standards to get higher, I think. So that's it's almost like looking at a TV. So just put as much resource you can into it within reason, Shani.
Thank you. We have another question as well. It was actually one right at the beginning that we missed. The journey is very similar to before coronavirus. What step would you add or remove now that we can't easily meet students, or reassuring students of the possibility of facing travel bans before starting their tuition? This one's really interesting, and I think it goes back to what Jihna said about anxiety, that it runs high at the moment. For us, our message to our university partners is always be as honest as possible. If there is a question that you can't answer, maybe it's to do with visas because everything is changing so quickly, be really honest with the student and say, these are the FAQs that we're getting at the moment. These are the ones we can answer. These are the ones we can't answer. But this is where you can watch the quickest way, either to the embassy website, where you're going to get the quickest answer as soon as we hear about it. So honesty, empathy in the messaging would need to come in, I think, even more now. Jihna, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was about to say, we have seen that as well, because students are not very familiar with the how do I apply for a student visa process. We have found as well that it's a bit more helpful that although it takes you a few minutes to go in and find out if their closest embassy is open or not, or what are they saying, it's actually better that we guide the students through either that link or providing them that right information that will take out all that anxiety buildup that we've been chatting as well. So I was going to add that, but you mentioned it already. There is one good question here from Wen Yung. Does WhatsApp work in China? And if not, how do you handle? Actually, no, WhatsApp does not work in China. It's been banned since 2007 or 2017, if I'm not mistaken, 2017. There are some workarounds that we're not going to discuss right now, but we have handled others through either WeChat, which it's the most common one in China, or as well, when we are assisting students, we assist them through our online chat bot through the website.
Brilliant. I think we've got a question for Spencer as well. In your experience, do you think online virtual fairs bring more of a competitive cost per enrolment, cost per application to higher education institutions as opposed to normal fairs? Would you have any thoughts on that?
You know, it's a fantastic question, and I think it's one that's going to actually evolve over time as more and more of us are doing online events. I mean, I would love to, as I mentioned, I'd love to be on a plane and heading off somewhere, and we will be doing that in 2021. There is technology which is coming in, which could expedite people moving internationally, and then that's a subject for another webinar. But I think, though, that what you need to play off is the relationship that you get with somebody from meeting them in person, and then the relationship that you get from somebody meeting them online. So if you're having a conversation with somebody at a physical fair, then I always think there's going to be a certain percentage of more of a relationship, because it's easier to read body language, and you get more things to help you remember a person by. So in terms of the actual conversion rate, I think that the cost per event is lower, but I think that you might have to do more of them to be able to recruit the students in the numbers that you require. There's going to be things out there which come onto the market that are going to work really, really well, and that they're going to be able to recruit students really, really quickly. But again, I think the other thing is you need to bear in mind the uncertainty in the market. You know, particularly difficult for graduate programs at the moment. You've got a student who might only be coming on campus for 9 months for a 1-year graduate program, and so if they're not allowed to travel and they miss a semester and they miss 3 months of that, then that's a really big impact on the total experience that they have, because they're obviously not networking, they're not on campus, they're not there long enough. Someone doing a 4-year degree program in North America, 3 years here in the UK, then actually they'll probably be able to take the impact of being able to recruit. So I think that whatever happens out there, it's just going to wait until the market is actually free flowing, and that we're able to get those students there and back safely. So I don't think I answered the question completely. I answered it in a few different ways, but I hope that helps a little bit. I don't think there is a proven thing. I will spend this much money, I will get that much return, and a lot of it depends on the follow-up. The better you are at the follow-up, the more likely you are to be able to actually convert those students.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely. And at Studee, when we handle inquiries from different fairs, we can say, you know, we got from this many inquiries from the fair, this many enrollments. That whole conversion process for each of the fairs, whether they're online or in person, hopefully in the future, will all be logged and tracked for you if we help out. I think we actually have one of your friends who has just asked a question, Spencer, that we have 2 minutes for you to answer.
Okay.
Have you seen it? May we know Spencer's secret of eternal youth and infallible mental recall? Such varied expenses, so many contacts over so many years. Always top of the game. Oh, isn't that nice?
That's ever so kind. You know what I think it is? I just love this industry. We don't join this industry because we want to become millionaires or billionaires, do we? We join this industry because we love the idea of internationalization. We love the idea of meeting people. And you know what? If we were in a hospital, we would be working in the maternity ward, because we're dealing with people's dreams. We're dealing with young people. So we're constantly getting our ideas refreshed. I mean, I'm always saying, oh, why do we need to change the design of the website? We only changed it 2 years ago. Spencer, we need to change the design of the website because we designed it 2 years ago. Design changes, everything changes. Generations Z becomes Generation Alpha. You know, we're constantly evolving. So that's why I like this industry, is because it's such a fantastic place to work. And that's why I'm 79 years old and I only look like a 27-year-old.
Love it. Well, we'll wrap this up then. Thank you so much, Jihna and Spencer, and thank you to everyone watching. We really appreciate you chatting to us today. Jihna and Spencer will put their email addresses in the chat box if you guys want to contact them to see how BMI or how Studee can help you guys. And yes, we hope to see you on the next webinar, and have a wonderful rest of your days and evenings. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.